Hello, money queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, our listeners. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Jessica Weaver, the host of Women Behind the Millions, and I'm so excited today because we have one of our wealth advisors at the Women's Wealth Boutique, Lauren Wood, who is founder of Aligned Wealth Solutions. She is, I feel like, my spirit soulmate. We are having spiritual alignment. We're going to get into some juicy things today. So thank you so much for being on here, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Lauren, where are you located for our listeners?
I am in South Bend, Indiana, where Notre Dame is.
She's in Indiana, but in this virtual world, we are so fortunate. We can work with people everywhere.
And I do, and I love it. Yes.
Awesome, Lauren. Let's talk about, there's so much to go into today, but what brought you into the world of finance? Let's start there. What got you to want to become a financial advisor?
My dad was a financial advisor.
We have so many similarities.
Yes, we do. And I watched him help people his whole career, and he would bring those values around our kitchen table of lessons that he wanted us to learn so that we could maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that some of his clients had fallen into. And so I, as a kid, knew I wanted nothing to do with it.
I was the same way. I just remember screaming at him, I want nothing to do with the stock market.
Yeah.
Because I could see how his attitude would change, his energy would change based on what was happening.
Yes.
What about you? What made you want to not go into that work?
My dad is a very literal person. He, my Enneagram thing, he's a 1.
We're going to get into that Enneagram thing.
And so he just has a very specific way of doing everything. And there's only, in his view, one way of doing things. And so I think it just always came across as too much for me, just too intense, and sounded too just numbers oriented instead of relationship oriented. And so I was not interested in just that.
That brings up a good point. Women financial advisors, we only make up 18% of advisors, and that number is shrinking, which is why we have this podcast, which is why we created the Women's Wealth Boutique. We want more women to be advisors because, as you said, we are so relationship oriented. Mm-hmm. And the numbers are great, right? The numbers don't lie. We talk about that a lot.
Oh, yes.
There's a whole different, important, very important. But there's this whole other side to our work. Very true. So when was that change then, when you wanted to become an advisor?
Well, interestingly enough, I got a call from my dad one day. I was managing collegiate apartments for college students.
Okay.
Collegiate indicates that. And I had done really well, and I was making a lot of money for that industry. And I had come to the point where I had realized, though, that I had tapped out kind of. I was at the peak of things. I was making more than any other managers within that company. And I knew because I had a friend who was higher up there. So she kind of gave me the details. And I thought, what am I doing here? I am, in order to move up in this, to make more money, to do better, I'm going to have to kind of wish somebody did. And that didn't feel good to me because that's the only way they're moving is if somebody gets fired or, they quit or don't show up anymore. I mean, there's just, that was the only way. And so I was feeling stuck. And my dad gave me a call and said, you've been doing really well. And some of the things you've been telling me about what you've been doing with your business there, I think would be really beneficial as a financial advisor. And I said, absolutely not.
It was just a knee-jerk reaction. No.
It was that knee-jerk reaction. And then I thought about it a little more because my dad is he's one of the smartest people I've ever encountered. And I feel like I encounter a lot of very intelligent folks. And his opinion, of course, is of the utmost to me. And I thought if he's feeling the need to say that to me, I should probably listen. And it was time. So I said, let's do it.
And how long ago was that?
That was 14 years ago.
14 years ago.
Yes.
Easy. How long did you work with your father for?
I never worked with him. At that point, he was a branch manager. And so he had brought me on. He recused himself from my hiring at his firm because he said, listen, I don't want anything to do with it. And that was a good experience for me because then I felt that because my dad was who he was, that some of these men thought that they had to make me jump through more hoops. And like, you're recognizing I'm already jumping through hoops to be here, but sure, bring them on.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yes. So I worked as an assistant for a while and then joined a team.
After that, what's been your favorite part of being an advisor?
The helping people.
Helping people? There's a certain type of person that you usually help or families?
I typically I'm most energized by working with women, powerhouse women who are really good at, making money, but maybe not sure about what to do with it. And maybe a little unsure about like, am I going to be able to continue to live this first class lifestyle that I've become accustomed to? And they're powerhouse women. So they're very confident and in every arena almost. And very often this is one of the few where they're not. And so I like to work with them.
So it's almost more frustrating in that way. I can make decisions in every area of my life, but when it comes to money, I do not trust myself with the decisions, or I don't know enough, or how do I even go about making the decisions?
Yes, those inadequacies build up too then.
Oh, that's a great way to say it. What do you see a common mindset that is preventing these ladies?
I think that those kind of thoughts and feelings come from fear. And so that's the core of it, usually. And then if we can, it's just really neat the relationship that I'm able to establish with my clients because we're able to open up. And I've had a lot of women just cry to me and say, I didn't even know that this was something that was an issue for me, that was let alone this deep. And then so once we're able to move through those blocks, they find a better mindset.
Yes, I can see that there definitely are these fears that we don't really know are playing out in our day-to-day life.
Right.
We just become so used to them. We don't know how we feel otherwise. Can you give our listeners an example of this? This is I really want to talk about this, the mindset behind wealth and how much we self-sabotage ourselves. Obviously not on purpose. We all want to be extremely successful and have more money. But even saying that, I hear myself saying, there's too much responsibility. Or how are you ever going to get that all done? Or there's too much to build. Just too much. So I can already see like, where are these beliefs? Where are they coming from? And you can see how it's going to almost tunnel vision these different opportunities for us. So can you give us an example?
Right. So there's a woman that I'm working with currently who came to me just I feel like I attracted her into my life. I felt like I manifested her and she felt like she manifested me, is how we've been feeling about each other. And really she was having problems because she is a business owner and she wasn't exactly sure about taxation and how she should be looking at that. And she wasn't sure if she was maybe necessarily doing all the right things for her business. Her business has grown and has.
Oh my gosh. How many times do we feel that way?
Yeah. And there's so much doubt then within that. And we've been working together only a short time. And she's been able to kind of dig a little deeper and see where, these fears are coming from. And really, that's helped her to identify with more clarity what her goals are. And so then I've been able, and it's just so cool. She told me I've been able to help her more, I think, because of that. She told me the other day, she was like, Lauren, that just sounds so huge. And I started this business as a little side business. And now to think that that's where this might be going is just so exciting to me. And, that part that's great. That was my intention. I've been doing financial planning for my entire career. I've believed it to be the foundation of everything that we do. And very often men would tell me it's too airy-fairy, too light, too fluffy, too many feelings, like focus. Why aren't you focused more on the numbers? And I mean, that was men that I was presenting to or had as clients that I was trying to tell about this. And I'm like, I just need you to think about your dreams. I need you to think about your dreams. And so it just feels exciting now to be working with these women who are removing these blocks and figuring out what it is they really want. And they're exciting things that are lighting a fire within them. And
Oh my gosh.
like this big things are happening because of it.
You're giving them the space to actually speak those dreams, which in itself, it can be scary.
Very.
Right? To say it out loud. But that is so huge. We're talking about doubt and fear a lot. And it sounds like the ladies, they get almost re-energized
Yes.
by it again. Or maybe because it hasn't happened yet, we kind of put that dream dormant for a while. Or we just are so busy, we forget we had this bigger dream.
Yes.
Deep down inside of us, I think everybody who's listening to this should pause right now. What's that thing? And we were just actually recording an episode before this. What's that thing that keeps coming up for you?
Yes.
It's pulling at your heart. It is writing a book. It's doing a podcast. It's hiring. It's taking your business to the next level. Your money. Keeps coming up when you're driving, you're in the shower, when you're yelling at your kids.
Yes. Because there very often is a recurring theme. And, that fear, it just gets so heavy after a while. And it gets so heavy that we're so strong after a while from carrying it around for so long that we don't even realize how much it's actually holding us down. And, that's where I find the most energy in what I do.
I love that perspective of it. We do carry this fear around and we're holding on to it so tight. And when I was going through the crap with my previous broker deal, I realized how exhausted I was from it.
Yes.
Until I got to the other side and I could finally breathe some freedom back into my life and end the fight. And that's what it is. When we are carrying fear, we are constantly in fight or flight mode. And it's mentally draining, but also physically, right? Yeah. We talk about the science behind this, right? The chemicals stop going to our brain. The blood stops going to our brain. Our critical thinking's turned off. We're not making good decisions. And this is why our dreams fall to the background. We are so short-term focused. Like, what's my next move? What's my next move? How do I survive this? Mm-hmm. So that's cool that you give them this space, this environment to now shift from that zone to, oh, that's right. I did have this dream. I do have this pull for something bigger.
Yes. And that equanimity, that space that's there has helped me so much in my own life. I mean, Jessica, you knew me 2-3 years ago. And I mean, I feel like I'm a different person now. I look at photos of me from that time and I was so different. I was so burdened by things that I didn't know I was burdened by. And I had not been pursuing the things that I was energized by.
And isn't that sad?
Oh, yeah, I'm very sad for that former version of me. And I'm thrilled that I found it though.
Like, yes, you show up so differently. You really have
Yes.
blossomed over the last few years. And it's amazing how when you do the work that it can re-energize you instead of deplete you. But we're so used to in our society that you got to do this. We should be doing this. And it's just depleting your energy supply. Or you can shift into what Lauren calls alignment, aligned wealth, and it will refuel you
Exactly.
more and more. Let's talk about Enneagrams.
Okay.
I recently just did my quiz and what did I say? I think I'm a 2 or something. How did you explain what it is and how you got into it?
Okay, so this is, if you Google it, this is not what's going to come up probably, but this is how I describe it. It's kind of similar to a personality test, but it's not a personality test. It is geared more toward it says there are 9 different ways of looking at the world. And so it talks about more about what are your motivations? What are your fears? Motivation and fear are what drive us.
Okay.
And so knowing what your own is, but just was mind blowing to me. I have taken kind of every personality test that ever existed. And so I'm always trying to figure myself out. I took the Enneagram. I'm an Enneagram 8, which is the protective challenger. And we're kind of hard usually for society to receive as women. So I felt like I've never really belonged. And then I read this and it was exactly, oh my gosh, that is me. Yes, that's why I do this. Yes, that's why I do that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, 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 yes. And I was able to see these things in myself, have the equanimity then to be able to forgive myself in those moments and stop it as it was happening, the behaviors that I wasn't proud of or, didn't really like or weren't aligned with me. And was able to step into this more healthy version of myself. And I've been passionate about though too, because learning other people's numbers has helped me to understand them better. And so I feel like relationally all around, the Enneagram has really impacted my life.
Do you use this work with your clients as well?
I have just started doing that.
Oh, that's so exciting. Because
Yes.
I've done it and I'm always open to these kinds of things. I love all of that.
Yes.
Because the more we can understand ourselves, to me, I can better just accept how I am instead of fighting it to try to be something that I'm not.
Mhm.
And I think that acceptance is the first start of the self-love, the forgiveness, the trust, tapping into your intuition. I just keep snowballing from there. But to stop fighting it and being in that resistance is huge. How are your clients receiving it?
Amazingly well. Amazingly well. Yeah, I've been, it was like that part of myself that I hid for a while. I have been doing working within the Enneagram for about 2 years now. And I just recently started talking about it. So it feels freeing to me, and I have found it feels freeing to my clients. And because now that I'm able to understand their fears and motivations better, it helps us to really be able to have those deeper conversations that are necessary to figure out how we can drop this load.
Yes.
So it's been really well received.
I want to talk about, as you just said, I was hiding a piece of me. How many times, ladies, listeners, do we do this where we closet a part of our life, like my obsession of pink for years, trying to blend in or fit in? I should say, we try to fit in, which makes us blend in.
And no shame because we're conditioned to do it.
We are from high school, right? Even the movies. You see the movies that what the cool kids are doing. We want to fit in and we definitely don't want to get picked on. So if I'm not fitting in, I need to blend in. I need to just become a wallflower.
Yes.
So we hide so much of ourselves. And even as parents, I can see how we do this to our kids. But like, we don't want our kids to be picked on. So we'll dress them how everybody else's kids are being dressed. And it just keeps going from generation to generation, kid to kid, and as we grow. But I've noticed it, and I want to hear about for you as well. I noticed the more I stepped into who I am, and my coach told me again this morning, because I stretched myself really far, and then I'm like, upper barrier limit. Like, oh my gosh, I can't trust this right now. Too much stretching going on. It's almost like a hangover for your body. My spirit is up soaring in the sky, and my body's like throwing up in the toilet from a hangover. And she goes, how can you tap back into your power? It's like, that's right. How can I shift back into who I am? I keep bringing this up because I feel this is also where the intuition comes into play. Trusting that the more we can step out into ourselves,
Yes,
the more successful we are going to be. And that's what I've seen with my business. The more successful we've been.
Yes.
How about you? Do you see it for yourself? And then I'm guessing for your clients as well.
Yes, exactly. The ripple effect of it has been huge. And that's why feel I've been called to continue to do this work, because it's working.
It's working. And have you seen yourself trusting your intuition or letting your intuition lead you?
Well, I'm an 8, and so we always go for our guts anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Every decision that's ever, I used to say all the time before I knew about this, I go with my gut because it's always served me. And
I was blessed with that.
So for the 8s, the challenge in that is to calm the gut response. Because the gut response very often for the 8, at least in my experience, was to lash out in some sort of way. And it's helped me to just back that down and say, okay, let me be more in myself and trust what my intuition is saying. And so I feel like the more that you test that intuition, yes, little things,
and that's a good idea.
And expound on that, and it's amazing what that does for you.
I love that. I was just talking with an advisor, and she was coming up to a big decision. I said, well, what's your intuition saying? She goes, my intuition really hasn't led me very far. But then we could think back, and I was bringing up different examples of how it has led her, right? And it's kind of this muscle we need to start building again. Yes. So I love what you said, test it out with these little things and see where it leads you. And I think also to have fun and be in play mode more. Yes, with it. Stop taking your intuition so damn seriously.
Yes. And recognize it's okay to trust ourselves.
It is. It is okay to trust ourselves. That is a great point. And that's a great segue, Lauren, into what made you start Aligned Wealth Solutions.
I'm laughing because I just feel very emotional even before I start talking about that. Like I said, I've been in this industry for 14 years, and I've always been an achiever. The corporate world loves 8s because we're achievers. And if you need something done, you bring it to us. If you've got a problem, bring it to us. We will figure it out without judgment and all that. So there's nothing that I feel like I can't do. You tell me what you need done and I'll do it. And so I was doing initially at the beginning of my career everything that they told me, and it felt very disingenuous to me. And then I found my business coach, and through working with her, I realized and it was also the community, right? Seeing all of these other women who were getting paid differently. They were able to do more things than I was. And, I'm not opposed to compliance because I love me some compliance. People make fun of me because I treat them when they're in, because I really value what they do. It's so important to our business. And yet I had started to run into the issue where compliance was making all of my decisions for my business. And it didn't make sense to me. Now, my higher up in my old company would drop down from the ceiling at our corporate event every year or do something outlandish like that.
I thought this was a metaphor or something.
No,
Actually jumped down from the ceiling.
literally drop down from the ceiling and then stands on stage and tells everyone, be different. Different is good. Embrace it. And so I felt like, well, I go home and I'm energized by that, right? I am energized by that. And so I try to incorporate these new ways to help people and, ways that I can build deeper relationships with my clients and help them more. And everything is, I just felt like my hand was getting slapped constantly. No, no, no. And to be quite honest with you, the protective challenger, the 8, it says that we will fight in an empty house. Okay, so like I love a good fight. I love I'm ready for it. And now I've changed that different ways, but it's still that the fight to me at this point is not worth it. I'm 40 years old. I want to actually run my own business. I help all these other women do these great things with their businesses, and I work with women of like varying size businesses too. So I work with some I think you know what I'm going to say. I work with some bad bitches.
Yeah.
And so I have female clients who have from, starting out is one thing, right? But like 10 million, 100 million. Like these are, and there are things when I first started, I didn't know that a woman could do that.
Oh, isn't that cool to be in the room with those women? This is what the show is all about, right? The women behind the millions, supporting those millionaires and the power, that energy of them creating that money with their own hands, with their minds. Like, I remember one person saying to me, if you can't risk it on your mind, what can you risk it on? Right. And that's what these ladies are doing. Right?
I mean, women are so much more compassionate to everyone in the room and in their businesses as well. And that's energy that really gets me. So where I was before, it was a constant fight to better serve my clients. And that just is, I finally realized that's not worth it anymore. And I'm sick of handing over half my paycheck to them, half my livelihood in all reality.
Very true.
To not be able to run my business the way that I want to run it.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. When we talk about trusting your own intuition and tapping into yourself and risking it, and it's the story behind a lot of all the ladies at the Women's Wealth Boutique taking that risk and betting on it, and you come out almost a different person. Because he's like, if I can do that, what else can I do? What else am I capable of? And
exactly,
we are so much more capable of anything that we ever think can even fathom. We are so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
That's amazing.
And finding that in my own life has helped me to bring it more to my clients as well. So, I mean, it's just like, I'll talk about aligned. It's a circle that just continues to feed itself and it's so beautiful.
That is. You're more energized. Your clients are. You're making more money. They're making more money. It's all good.
Not only that, but I am living more of my ideal life and they are living more of their ideal life.
Yes.
Nothing better.
And I want to point out, you said that the more we can tap into who we are, accepting it, embracing it, letting the world to see it, because that's what's happening. Your light is shining so bright. These little look what find you.
Yes.
Onto you. And then the money comes. But I think a lot of people, they're chasing the money first.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
And that was the other thing that I learned about myself. I kind of always known this, but as an 8, I am at my best when I'm in the 2 space of the helper.
Oh, that's an I am.
Yeah. And so I have a lot of 2s in my life.
I'm not surrounded with 2s.
Yeah. And so when I'm in that space, then more where I'm helping people in a very authentic way, that's more than just, okay, tell me how much is this and what do you have here and where's this and what do you want to do with it? Okay.
Oh, that sounds a little boring.
A little, yeah.
That's incredible, Lauren. Well, we're so excited to have you as part of the Woods Wealth Boutique. Cannot wait to see where Aligned Wealth Solution goes. I mean, clearly you're destined for success. The more and more you are aligned, everything just falls into place. And that's what we want for all of our listeners, our viewers, is that alignment.
Yeah.
So true. So make sure to check out Lauren. We'll have all the links up for you all to grab. Any last words, Lauren, for our listeners?
I'd just like to put out there that I was only able to connect like this with other people because I was vulnerable and took a chance, which is hard for an 8 to be vulnerable. But the more, like just like you're saying, the more that I really embraced all of me, the more things have come. And so I sit in a space with women of no judgment. It's where are you in the water? Where's your canoe on the river? And where are you going? And let's help you get there. And yeah, so no judgment.
That's beautiful. And if everyone's wondering, I want to give her a shameless plug. Robin Crane, who is a female powered money makers. She is how Lauren and I met through her community. So check out Robin Crane as well. Shameless little plug there.
Robin is fabulous.
She is. She's incredible. But thank you so much, Lauren, for being here. Thank you so much to our listeners, our viewers. Thank you for supporting us. I will see you next time, Money Queens, on our Women Behind the Million.